we have to think of child rights, which is of prime importance. We need to highlight the importance of the main recipients and purveyors of child rights, like children, parents, teachers, and the media. And it will be very useful uh, for effectiveness of communication of child rights. We also pay attention to the communication strategies used to raise levels of awareness of the recipients and surveyors, and also to the ways of improving those strategies. Geographical distance is found in communities which are geographically located far away from urban conglomerations. They are distant from the communication hub of a country in more than one sense. Geographical distance is exacerbated by lack of infrastructure facilities for effective communication, and consequently, people in such communities remain adhered to more parochial attitudes. These are the same constraints which can restrict the frequency of communication on child rights being received by such communities. Using methods like drama, street play, and discussions may be limited due to the cost in terms of funds, time, and energy required to conduct such programs. Most likely, the facilities for the use of electronic equipment is also less in such dispersed communities. Social and economic distance often occurs together with the geographical distance. It should be noted that specific communities that are disadvantageously positioned economically and normally have less access to education as well. It is possible that the lack of the social and economic distance would reinforce negative attitudes related to child rearing and discipline. We have perhaps the most important set of factors, the shortcomings in the media. Having said that, we know that the factors like non availability of media personnel in need of communication on child rights, use of technical jargon in communication of child rights, the reluctance of media personnel to focus on child rights in disadvantaged communities, and misrepresentation of child rights appear as shortcomings in the media network. Media performs a distinctive role in advancing the field of communication technology. It tends to enhance the knowledge of those who have already benefited from education rather than those who were denied such opportunities. It is the children of uneducated parents who become subject to child abuse, who often suffer from a lack of knowledge for the realization of their potential. Yet, such cases don't always gain sufficient attention from media personnel, and most go undetected. Communication of child rights should give due attention to the language in which it is formulated. It's necessary for precise information on statutory provisions to be communicated to the general public and the specific target groups. But the language that is used to communicate this should be reader friendly and easily accessible to the lay readers. Legal jargon, academic or technical terminology often discourages ordinary people from making the attempt to read through the article and digest it. Such writing should be restricted to the academic and specialized publication for those who possess the competence to read and understand them. And what can we do to improve the unsatisfactory situation we discussed? There are certain target groups who need to receive communication in child rights. There is also a need to identify specific groups who need much more necessities to receive this information. Slum and shanty dwellers, those who live in remote and isolated villages, the most destitute who lack an access and education, and social outcasts like beggars and street children largely represent these specific groups. These specific groups of people deserve specific strategies of communication on child rights. Simple written messages are a major device, formed preferably with illustrations. It should be printed or handwritten in big bold letters using simple words, whether in Sinhalese, Tamil, or English. Illustrations are not only eye catching but can be understood even by less educated people. For example, drawing of a something by an overdressed woman will make parents think twice before handing over the child for employment at a domestic, expecting him or her to be provided with all basic necessities. An illustration of a little boy turned into AIDS or an STD patient displayed on a large banner in a coconut grove on a sunny beach will make the person more watchful as the movements of their own children loitering aimlessly on the beach. Luring of easy money to supplement family income wouldn't persuade them to a blind eye in children's activities. These messages and illustrations should be displayed in prominent places like junctions, offices, community centers, bus stands, community wells, railway stations where people gather. Absorbing the information doesn't involve hard pressed time. One just sees it as one was walking about. Public convenience of phrases from documents at the Children's Charter can be displayed in this fashion. Street dramas convey messages. One stops by to be entertained and ends up by getting instructed. Humans are innately inclined towards pleasure and aesthetic activity, and if it comes free, it's even more welcome. The traditional guides in the villages, such as the Buddhist monk, the Pusari, the Maulavi, and the Christian father, are figures who are expected to collaborate in the communication process. These religious leaders can subtly intervene and advise regarding caring for any form of upbringing of children. In discussing about the role of community leaders, we highlighted the contribution that they can cause in hand, the very crucial role teachers can perform as community leaders. They wield considerable power and they sensitize others around them. In case of child labor, a child ceases to be a child, ceases to live as a child, and ceases to grow as a human being. It involves the irreplaceable lack of opportunity and a short, stunned life. The community has to be concerned that employing a child in menial work tends to lead an immoral behavior and in the long term much less benefit allowed the time to continue to study and get acceptable employment and develop a better personality. The teacher is indeed the professional designated with the task of guaranteeing the full ownership of child rights. The basic right of the child is the right to live, and then comes the proper direction, accompanied by the utilization of opportunities for the personality development of the child, in which education plays the key role. So, the teacher plays the pivotal role. In societies where parents are not mentally equipped to guide their children in the complex living of modern society, this role becomes even more different. In addition to the teacher becoming the recipient of information on child rights and allied topics, it becomes the surveyor. Especially in backward societies, a teacher's role extends outside the four walls of the classroom. They are looked upon as community leaders. Hence, there's an unlimited potentiality for a teacher's activity in this field. The knowledge imparted in the syllabi is not enough for the task. It should be nourished by training in media techniques that could be helpful in disseminating any useful information to the outside community. Hence, the basics of community education should become a vital part in a teacher education syllabus. This should entail subcomponents on how to establish support with the community, handing out seminars and programs in public, training in the preparation of posters, information sheets, or attractive forms of public information. So, this is massive importance in the context of child abuse. So, communication is independent subject status. The field is vast, filled with intriguing and significant possibilities. An educated communicator stands far above the others in this field because they carry a sense of commitment and responsibility. And when that educated communicator is from the enclave of the time honored teaching profession, The trust in that communicator and the following is more intensified. And this will enhance the knowledge component of child rights at secondary school. We have continued the discussion on awareness raising of child rights, which we have already done. Our focus was the factors hindering the effectiveness of communication of child rights. So there were geographical, socio-economic drawbacks in media. We also saw the communication strategies of child rights, which have been improved. This included, in addition to use of different eye-catching media, the involvement of religious leaders to get across messages to the target groups. We also said about marshalling the help of community leaders and improving the teachers, aiding in the communication in child rights.